Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. This is my May wrap up. It's coming late. I've had some things to derail my plans. I had sadly a death in the family, and it actually caused, I was planning on having some fun like little vlog type things in the mountains of Colorado, but that also derailed us going to our family trip to Colorado to visit some family of theirs. So I'm glad to be in my home to be sending you guys my May wrap up. So Wives and Daughters, let's talk about that first. I read that with you from Novel Idea. It's by Elizabeth Gaskell and it's fabulous. So we have Molly, who lives with her dad, who is a doctor for the village. He takes care of the gentry, the poor, everyone. He's very well respected. And so we have Molly, who has been with her dad, pretty much being the primary person in her life since very little. She was very little when her mom died. But her dad's starting to feel now maybe he needs to remarry because she's at that age where gentlemen are starting to get very interested in her. He thinks maybe she needs a mother to take her to this next stage of life. So he ends up just marrying somebody. And she's an interesting character, I must say. And she brings a daughter into the situation who is very interesting. You're not sure whether you love her or if you don't like her very much. You know, it's just like, she's a very interesting character, this stepsister that comes into the picture. But we have the relationship between this new wife and the daughters, and that's hence the title of the book. We also have this gentry family that lives within the distance where the doctor has always been their doctor, very close with that family and relationship. And so they have Molly come and stay there, and she gets very close with the mother of the family who's very ill, and they have two sons of marriageable age. And so that becomes interesting with the dynamics of everything. There are some secrets. There are some obstacles because, of course, Molly is not gentry, they're gentry. There are some unrequited love situations here, but really at the heart of it, you have Molly, who is just so relatable and is so beautiful. And this book just makes you just wonder what makes these people tick. You just have deep psychological, situations and characters, and I loved it. Love reading it with Dia too. So the next buddy read I have was with Courtney Reads. This was a departure from what we normally do. We read a suspense bordering on horror together. This was The Husband by Dean Koontz. And speaking of books that have deep psychological things in them that make you wonder why people do what they do and why they tick, this was another one like that. We have a husband who, the name is The Husband, of course, gets a call while he's at work that his wife has been kidnapped and they want millions of dollars from him. And he, as a matter of fact, is a gardener. And this gardener, he is not able to give them the millions of dollars. While he's on the phone with them to show them that that they are very serious, they kill someone across the street and while they're walking the dog. And so it's really scary because he's kind of tied to this murder, this husband, because he has a connection with the person that was killed, and there are different connections that are drawn, and he can't tell the police what's going on because they said they would kill his wife. And then the people that, kidnapped her said that he could go to his brother for help, but no one else. And that ends up being a very interesting situation. So I enjoyed it. It was a very entertaining read. It almost got to be like too much on the side of horror for me, but it didn't quite cross that line. A little bit more on the suspense side. So I enjoyed it. It was good. I think Courtney really enjoyed it too. I think she'd read it before. But it was like, not Netflix. Thrift Books had sent it to me. No, I haven't been getting anything from the mail from Netflix in a very long time. That's where my brain is. Thrift Books had sent it to me by accident, and they told me to just keep it. So I decided to read it. All right, 8 Cousins by Louisa May Alcott. This was a read aloud with my kids. Rose is a young lady who has lost her dad, and she gets sent to where she's got lots of aunts and lots of cousins while she waits for her guardian, her Uncle Alec, to come. Her Uncle Alec has different ideas than all the aunts about raising her. He wants her to run free, get a good education, not to be held by the constraints of young ladies at the time. He doesn't want her to wear tight corsets. He wants her to just have the freedom to eat good food, be free and run around and, you know, have a good life. And it's a beautiful story about the relationships in the family. And my kids really enjoyed it. This was probably my third time reading that book. And then I read Understood Betsy with them, and they didn't enjoy it as much as I did. I really enjoyed it. They kind of found it boring and hard to follow along with because their minds would wander, they said. So I don't know why I enjoyed it so much and they didn't, but it's about Elizabeth Ann, who is nicknamed Betsy by her country relatives. She's been raised by these aunts that are very overprotective. They kind of watch everything she does and are very right on top of her, and they love her to pieces though, but then one of the aunts gets very ill and she has to go off to stay with these country cousins that she, you know, doesn't really know anything about. And along the way, she gets to be a little bit more free. She gets to go to school. She gets to help with chores. She, you know, it's totally different. At first, it's kind of scary for her, but then she really begins enjoying it, finding herself. She even starts to take care of other people and a cat. And I thought it was a beautiful book about becoming who you are, you know, and growing up. I thought it was beautiful, and I liked how the end respected the aunt who raised her initially and these cousins, as well as being valid people in her life. All right, so my son and I read Fablehaven, book 4, which is Secrets of the Dragon Sanctuary, and this is by Brandon Mull. We have a magical world where things are not as they seem, and we have 2 siblings, and so it's very intriguing. It's very interesting. I do read this very closely with him because it is an intense fantasy, and I want, as a mom, if there's mythology that is contrary to what we believe, I want to be able to explain it and have a conversation with him. So we really have enjoyed that series so far. Marissa Myers is another author that I read with my daughter. We read book 2 in the Lunar Chronicles. We really enjoyed Cinder, the first book. This has Cinder as a sci-fi cyborg, and in this book we have Little Red Riding Hood coming into the mix, and we really enjoyed it. She is a pretty clean writer for YA, at least in these 2 books. This book was a little bit more intense than Cinder, but no sex, no language. All right, guys, that's what I read in the month of May. There's one more actually that I read, and that is When the Day Comes by Gabrielle Meyer, and this is a time traveling book. Dual timeline historical fiction. We have the young lady in the Revolutionary War times, and we have the young lady who travels to World War I times, and she's born this way. Her mother on the revolutionary side is also that way, and it is just great historical fiction, time traveling with Christian faith elements. I loved it. Reading book 2 sometime in the month of June. Thank you for being with me today, and I hope that you read a lot. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.